Welcome to Millennium Counseling Center's podcast, where each week we go in depth into all things mental health, addiction recovery, and being our healthiest and happiest self. Enjoy. This week's episode will be hosted by one of the many incredible therapists here at the Millennium Counseling Center. Please enjoy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dating in Your 20s podcast. You're here with Amelia and Lilly. We've had so much fun. We've done like 10 or 12 episodes now. And I think we've talked a lot about like all of the ways that dating can manifest and come out, especially when you're living life in your 20s. But something that I think is like ingrained within every episode, but that we wanted to dive deeper into is, what does it look like to actually do the work, to work on self-growth, to ask the hard questions, to become more self-aware, to become more emotionally vulnerable? And we kind of came to this question, which both of us, I guess, can answer. I don't know. Yeah, we'll answer. And then we'll give more reasons, maybe why later. But we came to this idea of, would you date you? Lily, want to take it away?
Yeah, no, to go off a little bit of what you were saying, I do think a through line of the episodes that are out thus far is just like slowing down and reflecting and being able to have that inner dialogue with yourself, even when it is scary, and giving yourself the time to allow for that work to be done. So I think we're just going to talk a little bit more today about how you can do that work and like maybe different prompting questions to like take on like a scary internal reflection situation and then kind of go from there. Right now, I do think I would date myself. Yes.
Oh, so fun. I love
can
that for you.
Talk about that after we go through a few of these things a little bit more. Leave the audience with a little bit of a teaser. But would you date yourself, Amelia?
Right now, I don't think I would date myself. I think I would send myself home if I was on The Bachelor right now. I think I'd be like, she has more work to do. Yeah, and I think I kept coming back to this idea too when I was thinking about this question this week of like, a lot of times when you're in a relationship or you hear when people are getting married and they're saying their vows, they're like, I knew this was the person for me when they. And it's so easy because you kind of get almost like a blueprint of your relationship from the perspective of someone else. And self-reflection is asking yourself to look at your own and look at the way that you enter into dating relationships and what you're happy about and what you're not happy about, to become super reflective from the perspective of yourself instead of from the perspective of what someone else might be seeing or viewing
like internal
about you.
validation versus external validation kind of too.
Yes. And I'm really big on external validation, so it's really hard for me to convince myself that I'm worth the dating of myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does. Again, we're so different and so like similar at the same time. But I think sometimes for me, I lean in on the internal validation to the point where I'm like, again, going back to attachment, almost like internal validation and then like avoidance, because I'm like, I know I feel this about myself. I don't want anyone puncturing that. So it's kind
What
of
did it
like,
look like to, I guess, become reflective and aware, to be able to identify that actually like your internal validation is a really big strength for you?
I don't think it always was that way. It's definitely like still something that could always grow and be stronger for sure. By no means just someone say something like negative about me and I'm like, that does not matter. Like definitely still hurts at times. But I do think it's maybe about how I grew up and playing sports, honestly, because I'm the youngest. I have two older siblings that constantly kind of like poking fun at me. And I think and even like, this is so funny. I'm so curious if Maggie listens to this, but one of my good friends, Maggie, created this. Now she's going to be mad that I said this, but created this day in junior high. And it was like Sag on Lil Day. It was like, and it was essentially like looking back, it was like a day that everyone was like allowed to bully me without like getting in trouble, essentially. But we talk about this as like a turning point in my like development, because the next day I was like, all right, now it's like Sag on Mag Day, and like no one followed through. And I was like, oh, and they repeated Sag on Lily Day. So instead of it being once a year, it was 2 days in a row.
Oh my God.
which was just funny. But like, I don't know. I've grown so much, and obviously, like, you're in middle school and your opinion, like, it's so different. Like, you haven't even
Yeah.
lived like barely any life yet, and it's just everyone's opinions are the weight of the world, and you want everyone to think great about you. But I think I was kind of like, at the end of the day, if I have these set of values and I can check in with myself and I know that I am working towards acting respectful, working towards acting confident, towards valuing my family, working towards having good time management, working towards being a hard worker. Like, if I have these things and I can go back to this like kind of like center reset and check in with myself, I'll be able to like reward myself internally if I had all of these things that I can kind of check in, like, where am I at with that?
Mm.
So I think early on, I was able to realize like people are going to have opinions. I can have opinions about where I am in my journey, and I can control those more than I can control other people's opinions.
Oh, wait. Okay. So I asked that because, again, we're so similar, but very different. And again, this could be operating out of an anxious attachment style, kind of like Hillary mentioned when we recorded with her. A lot of people with anxious attachment styles put on masks. So
Mhm.
and it sounds really bad, but it's almost like becoming a chameleon for the people who need me and in the level in which they need me, which I think with being a therapist is great because I love meeting people where they are and
Totally.
not necessarily coming at it of a point of like an authority figure or this all knowing being. That's not at all how I work. It's more so like aligning with the person and what their needs are. And that's how I guess when I get great feedback from my clients, it feels like, oh my God, my heart could burst. Like, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me.
Mhm.
But I also do that in work life with our bosses. I do that with my family. Like, I, Lily, I'm in like what, my 24th year of school,
Mhm.
writing all of this stuff, about to graduate. I still send my parents my grades. Like, if
Mhm.
I'm like, "Nope,
Mhm.
I made a 97 on this paper, just thought you guys should know," because I'm, like,
Mhm.
looking for someone to say, "Way to go." Like,
Mhm.
I don't
And
have that
that's
much of.
okay. Like, that makes the world go round. Like, we need that.
Yes. Yes. So in dating context for me, it's like, I'm meeting you where you are. You're not giving me any feedback right now, so obviously this is on me. Like,
Mhm.
I was not attractive enough, I wasn't
Mhm.
funny enough, I wasn't kind enough, like, something was on me, I'll go home, I'll fix it, let's rewind it back and try again.
What would it look like to be like, I just showed up as myself and I was me, and that's the reframe that's like coming up for
Yeah.
me. It's, oh no, I just went and I was me and they didn't take it. They left it.
Mm.
All right, on to the next. And that's probably a little bit avoidant. That's more avoidant than it is anxious.
No, yeah, I think we just have very different attachment styles, but I also wanna point out, like, this silly, goofy conversation that we're having about the ways in which we operate is what it looks like to be self-reflective. We have this amazing friendship, and we're also coworkers, and so this podcast is really great for us because we can kind of talk it out, and so this is a point in the podcast where maybe recommending pause, take a minute, see how you enter into not even just dating situations, but how you might interact with your friends or your family or your coworkers. Do you have the self awareness to accurately name how you're showing up in places and the awareness to say, what are my areas of strength? What is really
Mhm.
working? Like I was able to say, in the therapeutic space, this is a really big strength for me and I'm proud of that.
Mhm.
And also, where are those areas for improvement? Even you saying, like, this is an avoidant attachment style thing. Like, this is coming up probably in ways that aren't the best.
Mhm.
Have this
Mhm.
little dialogue with yourself, take a minute, and then press play and rejoin us because I also want to get to these questions that I
Mhm.
think we can ask ourselves more of like a self inventory or framework to be able to ask, what are these core values in my relationship? And how do I handle these things? And how can I adapt them into a way that works best for me?
Mhm.
All right, the questions. I love these questions. Did
I know,
you
I
have
do
you
I do love them too.
were you
Are we
I was
talking
about to
about
say,
them or are we
have
answering them?
have you gone through and like mentally answered any of these?
A little bit. Yes. I
Okay, I
have
guess you
like
can answer
my
them.
first jump, like knee jerk
Yeah.
reaction about myself because this is
Yeah.
all about being reflective and having
Yeah, I love
self-awareness.
it. I love it. All right, we'll answer them. Okay, so number 1, how comfortable am I being emotionally open and vulnerable with someone else?
I wear my heart on my
You
sleeve,
do.
and I am aware of that. And I think in like a dating relationship, you're not probably hearing my whole life story on the first date. But if I feel comfortable with you, you will know like pretty decent things about my life come date like
Mhm.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Not like my biggest, darkest, deepest secrets, but like we'll be having conversations about like what it's like to be self aware, what it's like to be self
Yeah.
reflective. Maybe like any times in your life where you feel like you've may have failed, or any times of your life where you're able to be like, no, I own that. Like I was really proud of myself then. Like I kind
Yeah.
of, in early dating, the relationships to me or the conversations to me in a relationship that feel like I'm being emotionally open or I'm vulnerable is having conversations about what it looks like to be emotionally open and vulnerable.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I like to get to early on because
Yeah.
I think it's pretty telling.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'm more it depends on the energy that someone else is giving off. Like if they're
Well, that
wanting
too, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Especially in like a dating context, if I'm noticing that we're talking about really surface level things,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be comfortable at all opening up. On a first date where it's kind of like there's pieces of it, like you're starting to maybe just explore the puzzle pieces, I'll throw a
Mhm.
few out there. I'll give a bone, but it definitely does take me a minute with friends, with people that I'm automatically just not like attracted to in a romantic sense.
Mhm.
Minute 1, I will tell you anything. So I guess I also put pressure on the fact that if it is like coming from a dating context, I hold myself back a lot.
Okay. That's a kind of a good segue to question number 2, which
Mhm.
would be what fears do you have when it comes to opening up in a relationship? So the differentiation that you just made between friends and family versus a potential romantic partner seemed to be pretty stark. Day 1 versus later on. Obviously, an actual fear is maybe getting hurt or what
Yeah.
comes up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting hurt. I think it's letting someone see the most authentic,
Mhm,
vulnerable, truest, purest version of myself and them still
mhm,
not picking me, like, and
mhm,
still not wanting to be with me. So that definitely holds me back. And I think it also prevents me from just like really truly being myself. And
mhm.
of course, this is again like we're coming at this as 2 therapists. We're also coming at it as 2 people in therapy. So these are not just things that we're just like dropping on you guys. These are things
Oh,
we're
no.
definitely working through.
We are
Um,
working through this in current time. I
yeah.
have therapy on Monday.
Oh, I'm jealous. I just had mine yesterday. What about you? What are some fears for you?
Well, something that was coming up for me when you were speaking, and this is totally controversial because Zach Bryan is not it when it comes to relationships.
I love
However,
his music.
I have been able to separate him from his music. Is this cancel culture? Am I about to be canceled? I don't
No, I
really
hope not.
know. But his song Sun to me is my favorite song
Mm,
ever. And it is the line that I love is find someone that's going to grow flowers in the darkest parts of you.
mm,
So I also, to kind of like comment on some of the stuff that you were saying, it's like once we show this dark side of us or this broken side of us or this part that we're maybe like have guilt or shame around and we like don't want people to see. And once we get to a point where we can show it, that's scary. That's vulnerability. Like that's you're like,
yeah,
it's all out on the table right now. Like they're like this is everything. And it's scary that because normally that doesn't come until later in a relationship, right? Because you're
yeah.
working up to that moment. So it's like you like everything you saw until this moment. But
Mm,
anyways, I think like that song there's some tropes around the fact that like the person that loves the worst parts of you, like that's your person.
mhm.
Like so
Yeah,
then when that doesn't happen, it makes it hurt a little bit more because it's like, oh, they're
yeah,
supposed to like these like parts of me that I was really afraid to share. They're supposed to
yeah,
do this. Which I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Okay.
that's
But the
really hard.
question, what fears do I have when it comes to opening in a relationship? Hmm. maybe goes back to a little bit of the labels episode that we were talking about. This is like so interesting and kind of like, I didn't know this was going to come up for me when it did, but I'm tall. I'm 6'2", and I like played basketball, which is just like more inherently kind of like a manlier sport, or was seen as that until recent years. So I don't know. Sometimes just like my interest in like working out in male dominated like sporting events and stuff like that, sometimes I like feel like I won't be girly enough, or kind of like I'm not the like girl who's going to spend like 3 hours doing their hair and makeup and like be really excited about an outfit all the time. Like I
Yeah.
will every now and then, but the other part of me is maybe going to throw on like my basketball shorts and a baggy t-shirt and be like, let's go to the gym. And like I'm not
Yeah.
putting any makeup on and I'm going to be sweaty. Like I want you to like that part of me too.
Yeah, yeah. It's honestly, I think ours are similarly connected. The parts
Mhm.
of ourselves that we're most insecure about, we're afraid someone's not going to like, which I
Yeah.
think is a fear a lot of women and just people in general have. But I think it's also, again, these are questions to get you thinking about things. These aren't questions to necessarily make you reflect on and then sit in and hurt about. This question is why I know I wouldn't date myself right now.
Okay, interesting.
Do you feel ready emotionally, or do you feel ready to emotionally invest in a new relationship, or do you need to work on healing from past experiences?
Interesting. Is this when I tell the viewers I'm in a relationship?
Oh my gosh, we're telling the viewers. I didn't know if this was like a secret that we were keeping.
And maybe that has a reason as to why I like easily said yes.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know. He does not listen to the podcast, so this is good. My cheeks are definitely getting red. But I think that in hindsight and now like being in this new relationship, like I think a lot of the reasons relationships leading up to this didn't work is because I wasn't ready. But I think sometimes trying to make a relationship work when you're not ready is also a learning experience that's then going to make you more ready.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I think everything like you can take something, a moment of growth, a learning moment, whatever it may be, from every situation. Literally
Yeah.
every single situation, which I think is why self awareness and reflection is huge. Because if you don't center those two things, it's going to be really hard to view something as a learning opportunity.
Yes. Yes. I love
So
that.
I think because of my past relationships and sometimes maybe pressing pause on dating, literally pressing pause on Hinge and like taking a second to then work on healing from my past relationships with friends, with my therapist, all of that kind of stuff. Like, I think it does truly take work to be at a point where you're ready to invest in a new relationship because, like, navigating a relationship is hard. Supporting a relationship is hard. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of, like, sometimes sacrifice or
Yeah.
extra like time and care and like kind of like tender loving care at times too because you're not
Yeah.
thinking about yourself anymore. You're thinking about someone else and that's like an amazing feeling. But if that comes when you weren't ready for it, I think that can also be very overwhelming. I think I am because obviously you always need to be doing all of this stuff, but I think I felt like I was at a good point to kind of
Yeah.
give something a go. Yeah.
Something that I really liked about this question is the final, like, or do I need to work on healing from past experiences? I loved that it didn't say like work on healing from past relationships. I don't really think like when I hear that, I don't think like there aren't any past relationships that are really holding me back.
Mm.
It's more so
Or that
like
you're aware of right now.
experiences of
Maybe it's like experiences about yourself. It's
yeah,
within
it's like certain
yourself. Yeah.
experiences of like independence. It's
Mhm.
understanding moving to a new city. It's understanding
Mhm.
acclimating to new friends and to new things and like
Starting a
healing
job, like,
literally like all the things that we've done, all the things that you
all
do
the
in
things
your
that we're
20s,
doing right now.
all the things we're doing. And also recognizing like I've had experiences in my life and yeah, a lot of from men, but like from
Mhm.
boys actually that have hurt me and that aren't necessarily because it was like a long relationship that like really hurt me. It was more so like experiences on like a first date or experiences on like all of these things
Mm-hmm.
that I do want to like heal and reflect on and recognize why they hurt me before going into a relationship that I really enjoy. But I also love what you said because I even got a text message from one of my friends this morning and she was like, give me tea. Like, what's going on in the world of Amelia? And we were like talking about things. I was like, oh, I have like a minor crush. Like, it's not big at all. And she's like, ugh, I miss that. Marriage is so hard. And it was one of those things where like, you think even when you get into a relationship is hard work, every stage of a relationship is hard work. Like, it doesn't get easier because you have a ring on your finger or a marriage license or a baby or a house. Like, things continue to grow and develop and get harder. And so I think even you recognizing that, like there's so many sweet moments, but it also doesn't improve every area of your life because you're in a relationship is really good.
I think to stay like in theme also with what we're talking about around self-awareness and reflection and how that's important in dating. I also like why they said past experiences and not necessarily past relationships because you can have a past relationship and you cannot give yourself an opportunity to learn from it, right? I think oftentimes we have past relationships, we close that door and we never look back as a protective mechanism or as a I'm fine, it's fine, let me move on, like on to the next mentality, which is great. But I think experiences is okay, a relationship ended. What was your experience of that relationship ending? What did you slow down around? What did you ask yourself? How are you feeling about this relationship ending? What's coming up for you, right? Like, so maybe it's like a breakup experience or relationship ending, a relationship starting, or maybe nothing around a relationship. Maybe it's a friend of yours who got into a relationship and that was an experience that you had. You learned a lot about yourself because you were witness to another person getting into a relationship and you were like, ooh, don't know if I want that. Or, oh, wow, that's great that that happened for them. So again, I think the word experience centers reflection and it centers self-awareness because it's not just what happened to you, but it's how you interact and how you think about what happened to you.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4. How do I feel about my self-worth and self-esteem when I'm in a relationship? Do I feel complete on my own or do I rely on a partner for validation?
Wow.
That's like kind of a lot of questions wrapped into one.
Yes. How do I feel about my self-worth and self-esteem when I'm in a relationship? I guess I should take this one.
I was going to say, I haven't been in a relationship in 5 years. So,
I have always said, it's kind of like a silly, quirky thing, and I've definitely told you this, but like, I want someone that is gonna like be in the corner of me after a few drinks going up to karaoke and like feeling myself singing. And I want them to just like be in the corner being like, that's hilarious. Like, that's so funny. She's doing her thing. She looks ridiculous, but like, love it, love her,
yeah.
that kind of energy. So I don't know why I felt the need to bring that up with that question, but I feel like
Can I answer for you?
yeah,
What
it's
I
like
think you're trying to say.
when you're like radiating that, you want someone to like feel that for you and like help you project that and not damper it, not darken your light. If you're feeling that, you want someone to be like, heck yeah, she's feeling that and I'm gonna help her spread it. Like for
Yeah,
sure.
like your self-esteem, and it sounds like even the way you enter into relationships, not even just like being in one, but like the process of it, you're
Mhm.
thinking of yourself, like not in a selfish way at all, but like you're coming at it from like this is me. And so if you already feel good about your self-worth and your self-esteem, like a relationship that's healthy for you is just going to heighten that. And I'm sure a
Totally.
lot of women connect to that too.
Hmm. Because to look at the second question, do I feel complete on my own or do I rely on a partner for validation? This is a hard question. This is hard because there's kind of an answer that is maybe like society frowns upon an answer of looking to a partner for validation, solely looking for a partner for validation too. But like, was I complete before I entered this relationship? Like, I have no clue. Like, like I maybe felt
Yeah.
it in that moment, or I felt like I could bring something on. Like, so sometimes with these kind of things too, I'm like, I don't know. I thought about it, but I didn't think about it that much. Like, I'm
Yeah.
self-reflective, but like, no, I didn't answer this quiz before I entered. Like, before I was like, okay, now I can press play on. go out on a date.
I don't think these things are meant to be answered in bulk like we're doing too. I think
Oh,
it takes
totally.
time for each one, which we would probably be like, we could spend a whole episode on just one question.
Mhm.
And two, like, this isn't necessarily a quiz. Like, Cosmopolitan's going to tell you, okay, girl, go get in a relationship. You're
Yeah.
ready. Like, this is more
Mhm.
so just encouraging you to continually think about these things and become more aware of if you did feel this way and 6 months into the relationship, you don't anymore. What's changed? You.
Mhm.
And how to,
Yeah.
like, I guess, feel at ease with the fact that you're still allowed to grow and change even if you are in a relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's like to go to, or do you want to answer 4?
Nah, I'll opt out.
To go to 5, what are my non-negotiables in a relationship? If I'm not changing, evolving, being challenged, being called out on my shit, then yeah, no,
Bye.
no from me, dog. Like I think like there's so many things that in like, yeah, trust, communication, respect, those like basic pillars for sure. But then there's also the like, make me a little bit uncomfortable around some things.
Yeah.
Like we do not have the same experience. You have an experience that much different from mine. Teach me about that. Press me on some of my ways. Like, oh, like, or it's just kind of, or being willing, I think listening.
Mhm.
Listening is a huge thing for me. Like, I need to be able to feel heard. I need to know that I'm being listened to, and I need someone that's going to be attentive. And then vice versa. I also want to make sure that I'm centering that and giving that same respect to that person too.
Do you remember that night? We had this night where we were hanging out with our coworker, Sarah. She was on the pod. And her boyfriend came over and he was like, but like, what are things that you guys are looking for? And we were talking about it. And I looked at him and I was like, I think I just want someone who's nice.
Wait, I do remember this. But
Like,
we're laughing, but like, yes.
no,
Like,
that
I
is my
do want
number
someone
one
who is
thing.
nice.
If there is kindness in a man, like, and not kindness that feels performative, like genuine kindness.
Mhm.
I mean, like, of course, the things that you mentioned feel like I want to grow. I want us to push each other. I want us to sit alongside each other in
Mhm.
the uncomfortable aspect of growth as a relationship and growth as an individual, and knowing that thinking of it like as a tree, that root is always going to be there, but we might go in different directions, but we're still like grounded in each other.
Totally. Love that.
Want that. Entering into the relationships, like not even necessarily having that yet, a non-negotiable is just like kindness. Like, please be a guy, like a good guy.
I feel like too. Like we talked about this too. I don't know if it was on a pod or we just had a conversation, but if my life is like going uphill or like going trajecting up right now and yours is maybe stagnant or falling down a little bit, but like be able to support me in that. Like
Yes.
we're going to be at different phases and we're not always going to be on that same like that the same level, but being able to like show up the same way no matter what level that you're at in your individual kind
Yeah.
of successes and being able to like celebrate and really just like highlight your partner and their successes and their just being able to support one another.
I also want to acknowledge too with this question, I think it's really important. I saw, can't remember if it was on Summer House, maybe Southern Charm. All right, guys, I'm a huge Bravo girl. But it's like someone made a comment about like when I was in my 20s, all of these things felt incredibly important. But as I'm entering into my 30s, I'm recognizing that like these things ebb and flow. Work out, like, if you feel like it is a non-negotiable and you have this in your mind at some point in your life, it mattered to you. Don't feel like you're having to settle or having to, I don't know, give up on something that feels really important to you in terms of a partner because
Uh-huh.
you're aging.
Mm,
I hate that idea. Like, if you're saying this as someone in your 20s, it matters to you now. If it doesn't matter to you in your 30s, maybe that's another self-reflection piece of why.
and
But
some of that can be an authentic, oh, it doesn't matter to me anymore.
yeah,
It was something that really mattered to me then, but like because I've been checking in with myself along the way, I comfortably can say I let this go, like, and it's okay. Like
yeah,
I didn't let it go because I felt like I needed to, or because
yeah.
someone told me to, or because my pool was apparently getting smaller. I let it
Yeah.
go because I checked in with myself along the way, and it feels okay to have it not be on my list anymore.
Yeah. Which then leads us to our next and final question. Do I have unrealistic expectations about my partner or partner in general or relationships in general?
Hmm.
I do.
I'm trying to think. Okay,
I
you
know
take it away.
immediately. I know I have unrealistic expectations. I think everything should feel like a movie. I want love to feel like a movie. Also, like the way my parents met, like
Mhm.
writing letters back and forth to each other for 3 years, 10th time seeing each other face to face was their wedding day. Like,
It gets me every time.
beautiful story. So many of my friends having like high school and college sweethearts, like these really great things. And I think I'm expecting that. And so when it's just like a guy at the bar being like, "Can I get your Snapchat?" No, you can't
But
actually.
maybe that's okay. Like, that's good too, because maybe
No,
that's
I know,
not.
but that's me. That's me recognizing my expectations are too high. Like, obviously, I should probably just give him my Snapchat. Actually,
Well,
no, ask
no,
for my
no,
number.
no. You know what? I'm not. This is not a podcast to give rules, but we're 25. I'm not communicating with my potential partner via Snapchat. I don't even have my boyfriend's Snapchat.
Oh, health. The pinnacle of health.
Which, like, sure, but like my ex-boyfriend, well, maybe that's why he was an ex, but like we only communicated on Snapchat
Yeah.
and I was 24. So
Yeah. No, I definitely think, are my expectations a little bit too high? Like, yeah, maybe ask for my number, but like, it's okay if life doesn't look like a movie, like create my own movie. Like, it doesn't have to be a
totally,
script of someone else's. And I think I'm recognizing that. And that's some of the work that I'm doing.
totally. I think something thank you for it really prompted me to think inward,
Of
to
course,
self-reflect.
girlfriend.
There was a turning point for me where I think I moved away from this like movie and then in a heterosexual relationship too. Like a man needs to ask me out. A man needs to make the first move. A man needs to show that they are interested. And for so long, I think I was just like, all right, well, like if they don't text me or if they don't do this or if they don't do that, and I'm throwing men a bone here right now, but they want to feel wanted too. It is
Mm,
scary to put yourself out there. It
mhm.
is just like it's scared for women to be vulnerable. It is scary for men to be vulnerable. Arguably, maybe even more, given
Yeah.
the world and societal and everything that we live in. So sometimes I think I thought it was I think it's unreal and I do. I will actually go on record saying this. I think it's unrealistic for women to think that like I don't believe in if he wanted to, he would. Like I do, but I don't. Because
So
like the
hard.
same thing goes. If she wanted to, she would.
You're right.
Like yes, like it's scary to like ask someone out and have no clue if they like you, but like they are also potentially feeling that same way. So I would rather one of us feel a little shitty and have a bruised ego for a hot second than if we both don't do it. Aw, like that's sad.
No, you're right.
I don't know.
You're
That's
so
like my
right.
thing. Because and then I feel like now I'm like back to my boyfriend. I liked him first on Hinge. Like, and it's
You
easier to
did.
hide behind a
A
phone, which is
screen.
why I think that's
Yeah.
a pro of a dating app, though. I think a pro of a dating app is maybe it's easier to sort of send a like and whatever. But I don't know. I think it's potentially unrealistic to think that a man's gonna come in and like totally swoop you off your feet and ask you out and do this and do everything because it's scary for them too. They have no idea how you're gonna respond.
Yeah. Fine. We'll give some grace to the men. I just
Yeah.
hate doing that. No, and two, I mean, like, this was like a silly, goofy experience for both of us to like go through these questions. But I do think it encourages, hopefully, at least one listener that there's a process to this and, being honest with yourself and
Mhm.
really reflecting on. I think sometimes we just like, and I know I'm so guilty of it, we put relationships in this like box of how is someone perceiving me? What am I doing? Like all of these things. And that self reflection piece is really necessary because it puts you back at the center. It puts you back at your wants, your needs. How are
Mhm.
you feeling about this? Do you even want to be dating? Which I think is what a lot of these questions are essentially asking. I don't know. I think self work never stops once you start. It's the starting
Mhm.
piece that's really hard. And self
Totally.
work in terms of relational dating, like love lives, is
Mhm.
terrifying. It's so scary. And so, I don't know. I think that this is a really fun episode. Like, yeah, granted, it was just like us gabbing about our love lives, but like,
Yeah.
I hope it acts as like an example of maybe even doing this with a friend, like sitting down with someone and having someone encourage you through this process and have self-compassion for yourself while doing it.
Yeah, it is cheesy, but I did this with a client the other day because this client was very critical about the work that they were doing. They were doing the work, but they were like, how good of work am I doing? And I was like, that's getting in the way of the work right now.
Yeah.
And Amelia, I think you do a good job of this too. And I'm sure a lot of other people do this as well. But I was literally like, this person was an athlete. So we were doing some wins and losses, trying to work through that kind of, because it was like she was to a point, she's like, well, I would leave therapy. Like, was that a win? Like, did I do good? Like, did I do good today? Like, was the internal reflection like good enough to count as like work?
Yeah.
I was like, no matter what, logging onto the Zoom, getting to the office, walking into the door, and showing up is automatically a yes. You're getting a check plus from me. You're getting an A plus. You're getting an 100%. You're getting a W. You're getting a whatever, bright star. You're getting a pat on the back, whatever it is, right? That is that. Because from here on out, however we use this next 45, 55, an hour together is like we can literally gab and talk about literally nothing. We can color. We can play with Play-Doh. We can talk about our favorite movies. We can talk about Summer House. We can literally do whatever and it won't matter. The relief on this person's face was like wild for me to experience. I was just like, it doesn't matter. Like I want to meet you where you're at. If you're not ready to go through all of these questions or whatever, like showing up is enough. And sometimes self-reflection is not going to look like a very intense, deep, crazy conversation. Maybe it's, wow, I noticed that I wasn't really ready to have that today. Okay, you noticed, you slowed down enough to realize you weren't ready for the full volume 10 self-reflection conversation. And you were able to reflect on the fact that you weren't ready for that today. And you were like, okay, cool. But it still counts if I'm just here chilling, talking about summer house coloring.
Yeah. No, I think to summarize, it's a lot of self-reflection is instead meeting yourself where you're at. And however that looks, it's good work.
Wow. And that is a mic drop. And that is how we will end this podcast.
That's the end of the pod. Okay. Bye, everyone. We will see you next week.